Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Greg Fearon podcast with the host Greg Fearon. And today we've got Margaret Cawley, who's going to talk to me about, I guess, something that's seen in a lot of the PT industry as an enemy. I wanted to get a nice, full and frank discussion about it. So, Margaret, welcome along.
Hi.
Good to have you. We haven't really spoken properly in a long time.
No, it's years actually, Greg. But it's interesting what you said about seen as the enemy, because I'm based in. I run a Slimming World group. I'm based in Acton, and I often talk about PTing, but I often talk about you and say there's this guy, I wish he was closer to you guys because I really believe in what he says and things like that. So it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very, I think, and for those people who are going to be listening back to this, Slimming World, I work with a lot of ladies who have been in Slimming World and they've got stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stories that come out now, obviously that's not the full story, but I can only work with what I've got. So that's why I thought I'd get you on so we could talk about what really happens and how you see it and all that kind of stuff. So I guess my first question is just tell the listeners who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are.
Okay. So thanks. I'm Margaret. My background was human resources. I was fortunate enough to be in an organisation that paid for me to train as a business coach. That was back in 2007, and that led me on to seeing how supporting and enabling individuals can really transform businesses, but also transform lives. So at that point then I continued to do my own training, sourcing courses, etc. And I also started to transform my own life. And I joined a local Slimming World group, and I had tried all sorts of diets, crazy and wonderful things, some successful, some not so successful. But it was just I like the idea of eating food so, and not being hungry. So I joined a group, and it was predominantly because I was going on holiday in about 3 months after the date of joining, so that was my goal. And I actually at one point remember questioning, maybe I'm not very well, because how can I eat all this food and lose weight? Because I'd never experienced that. I'd get to the end of the day where I'd be counting calories or I'd be counting points, etc. And I'd be starving and thinking, to make an egg white omelette with nothing else in it but egg whites.
Yeah.
So this was freedom for me. And I lost almost 3 stone in time for my 2-week holiday in Turkey. I was feeling fabulous and feeling really confident about myself. When I returned from a holiday, I returned to group, and my consultant spoke to me about being a consultant. And one of the things that differentiates Slimming World is you have to have been a member to be a consultant, because it's really important that you understand a member's journey and what it feels like with the highs and the lows of weight loss. And my consultant thought I'd be great, not just because of my weight loss success, but also because of my background in facilitating groups. So I had to go through interviews. I was successful at that, and my plan was to launch group in January of 2009. And I then had to go up to head office in Derby, which we call the Slimming World Castle. It's very sparkly, it's lovely. And I had to do several trips back and forth from there to go through training. It was staying 3 nights at a time, etc. Plus I had training locally by managers, etc. And I launched in Hayes in January 2009, and then I started my Acton group in the March. So 12 years next year I've been a consultant.
Oh wow, that's a long time. Like, people don't even get married for that amount of time.
Exactly. And it's been a rocky relationship at times. Because it's you're running a business, and running a business is tough, and it's just one of the businesses that I run. and at sometimes I've fallen out in love with it. But what I've never fallen out of love with is the members that I help,
Mhm.
and that's what's kept me in it. So
Oh, definitely. I think we're both very in that mindset of the people that we work with is what drives us often.
absolutely, and I think it's what drives most of the consultants in Slimming World, is the fact that, you know, how many lives we help
Mhm.
year in, year out, and we often as consultants forget that, you know, the changes we help make in people's lives. So,
Awesome. So, as I alluded to earlier, and we've had a little bit of discussion, I think the fitness, and I want to say that the fitness industry is separate. It's all one big thing, really. But I think the fitness side of things often sees swimming world as a bit of, well, like I say, not maybe the enemy. I don't know. I don't know if what's the best word. But just talk me through like how the training to become a consultant, because I think for a lot
okay.
for a lot of people, like, you know, for myself, for example, I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. I did a degree and I've done so many courses I can't remember anymore. So just help me understand what the actual training entails.
Yeah, so for initially, like I said, you have to have been a member, so you have to have had that experience,
Mhm.
okay? And even more in the last few years, they've become stricter about your own weight criteria in becoming a consultant. And that's because lots of consultants, you know, we're human and we often feel vulnerable and unhappy about our own weights at times. And how can you help others if you're in that place? So that was why the criteria has changed. Um, as I said, I'm not 100% up to date in what it is right now, but it's at least 6 days of intensive training up at head office, plus to become a consultant. And then you would have like follow-up days, probably another weekend after that. But I would need to check that, and I'm happy to get the actual data. But as a consultant in the field, established, I have meetings once a month.
Mhm.
I have an online academy. I have diplomas in nutrition. Our version of fitness, which would be Body Magic, that's what Slimming Well call it, on running a business.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, just lots of opportunities to continue your learning.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's up to you if you embrace it or not. Those diplomas aren't compulsory, but you're really encouraged, because actually, how can you run your business successfully if you haven't got completed those diplomas?
Yeah. And obviously, me knowing you very well, obviously Soul Sunday days.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Soul Sunday crew. I know that you'd be very thorough, but I think so. One of the challenges is you said that the diplomas aren't standardized, or you have
Yeah.
to take them. So I guess I'm trying to understand, as a nutrition-based company, which is what it is, if consultants aren't fully trained in nutrition, how can they coach nutrition? I think that's a real big
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're trained,
Mhm.
and we have to do every 3 years our license. We don't like to talk about it, but it could be removed from us
Right, no, that's
if,
okay. True.
if we don't go back and do our 3-day training. I'm saying 3 days, it might have increased it. Yeah,
Yeah.
3 days every 3 years. And actually, I was due to do mine again this year, but because of COVID, it's got delayed. Courses are still running, but normally I would try and do one more locally, but I will have to go up to Derby, and I haven't done that this time. But yeah, it's every 3 years.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but you have monthly training
Mhm.
that is delivered locally. We have we're like clusters, we work in teams,
Yeah.
and it will be delivered, so the latest changes, etc. At the moment, Slimming World's new member talk is changing for January 2021, and our training will be on that.
Okay. Awesome. So just talk me through body magic. Like, what does that mean? I don't understand it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
understand it.
it's um, very much part of our program, so
Mhm.
it's not something separate. And every new member gets a new member pack, and there'll be the pack around the plan and food optimizing, but there will also be a pack about the importance of group and what we do in group, and then there will be a separate pack about body magic. But in the New Member Talk, we weave in how we talk about body magic, and essentially it's activity.
Right.
So it's encouraging members to become more active. Now, we don't talk about, going to the gym or things like that, because that might not be everyone's bag. It might be a long way from where they are on their fitness journey.
Really? Mm-hmm.
So it's about increasing activity.
Yeah.
And we encourage people to share what they've done in body magic in groups. They can go for awards. They can get a bronze award, a silver award, a gold award, and a platinum award. And to achieve an award, you have to have done a certain amount of activity every week for 4 weeks. Now, they're not tested on it. It is done on trust.
Cool.
But the idea is that, we're adult to adult, and these people have suddenly, by starting to lose weight, you start to feel better. You can move more easily. And the amount of clients that I've had that actually, members that have come and said, I've lost half a stone and already I can feel my knees are not paining me as much, and therefore they're more inclined to get up and walk. So when we say body magic, it could be, we try to encourage, put on some music while you're doing the housework and have a little boogie. So whatever it is, gardening, or training for a marathon, depending on where you are on your journey.
Yeah, so it's about encouraging activity and encouraging that neat activity that I guess we all talk about. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Because often I've heard that exercise, or maybe a better way to say it, is often that exercise, like heavyweight training, etc., because it can impact someone's weight, people are discouraged from doing it. And I've seen that I've seen it in groups, and I think where the problem becomes is where people who don't necessarily have the expertise are given their 2 pence worth, which is where the challenge comes in.
And that's it. And probably if you came to my group in acting, you might hear more about body magic, but that's just because of my background than in another group in terms of into more detail about it.
Yeah.
But absolutely, body magic will be covered in all. Sometimes members get stuck because they feel that they've exercised more than they've ever exercised, and actually the results aren't showing on the scales. And therefore, they can sometimes talk about needing to do more exercise or having to cut back on their exercise because it's impacting on their weight. And actually, in Slimming World, we'll always revert back to food optimizing, because actually it's essentially, you need to get what you're eating right, and synergy with being more active, you're going to be successful in the results you get. Yeah. So do you need to exercise to do Slimming World is often a question my clients will ask. Do I need to do exercise? And we will always say, no, you will get results without exercise. However, if you incorporate exercise in, you will get, you'll probably be more successful. It's proven that you will probably maintain your weight loss if you incorporate exercise for lifelong rather than just something you do for a short time. And absolutely, the health benefits, they're different to what's showing on the scales.
Yeah, and I think that's a real issue, I guess, going on to that then, is that because everything in Slimming World is so centered around the scale, what people often don't see is body composition changes, etc. So that's where people get frustrated with it. So I just guess I wanted your take on why only use the scale. I know you can't speak for the company, so I don't want you to get sued by them or whatever.
No, I can talk. It's, as a Slimming World consultant, it's something for 12 years I've continuously worked with members. And one of the, I know that it doesn't seem it, but one of the benefits of the pandemic has been that some of our groups, venues have had to close. Yeah. So we've moved to Zoom and we're doing food, Slimming World at home. And what that has meant, so when you attend a Slimming World group, you come in, there's a period of time where you get weighed at the start of the group. You then sit down, and this is the bit you pay for. But people often think they're paying to come and get weighed.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Boots and do that. You can step on your scales in your bathroom. You don't need to pay Slimming World or me. What you're paying for is what we call image therapy. So that's what happens in group. And we say, you know, you might have heard it, a group is where the magic happens, okay? And we celebrate success, but we also talk about people's struggles. We talk about body magic. We talk about, you know, food ideas, and that's what happens in group. Unfortunately, not all members stay to group. They often see a queue of people getting weighed and think, oh my goodness, I haven't got time. The maximum time you'd ever spend in a whole session, including weighing, would be an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So part of what I constantly do is encouraging people, it's your hour and a half, it's for your journey. Mm-hmm. It will help you and you will help the group. And therefore, unfortunately, some people think it's just about the scales and about the number on the scales, because for whatever reason, they may not have experienced image therapy, or they've gone and for whatever reason not enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I've had in the pandemic is people that would never normally stay to group join a Zoom and think, oh my goodness, I've been missing out. Yeah, but everyone's individual and it's not for everyone. And it's not compulsory. We do encourage it, and people that stay to group have better weight losses.
Yeah, I can imagine it's like anything. If you put your whole into it, then there is a good chance you're going to be part.
Yeah, it's like coming to a session and only doing the warm-up.
Yeah, exactly. Which I totally understand. I think where sometimes the mindset challenge comes in is obviously you see people flashing the rewards. Oh, I lost 2 pounds. I'm Slimmer of the week. So therefore, it then feels like, and obviously I know about the group stuff, and actually I'd say that's probably a really good aspect of it, is the group environment. I think that's an awesome aspect. I think the challenge is that where people come across, oh, my mate over there has got her and I'm not moving, so people will only see the success of the scale.
Yeah.
And I think that's where problems arise, and that I see problems with people that come to me around Slimming World, because it's just scale only is where they see the result, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and at times I have successful members who may have lost, and I don't want to say an amount, but several stone.
Yeah.
And it's a great success for them. And they'll have a week where they'll gain £2 or £3, perhaps because they've been on holiday or they've had a celebration, and they are so hard on themselves because they have gained that amount of weight, but actually they forget the whole of the journey they've been on and how successful they've been, but they'll focus on that gain, and actually they know why they've gained and they've enjoyed that period of time, because that's life. And we, you know, life has ups and downs, ebbs and flows, but you know, sometimes our crooked thinking gets us stuck in a place. And you know, it really, I feel for members when they're stuck on their weight loss journey, and it happens.
So if you have someone who's been at a plateau for several weeks, how do you tackle that? Because that's always that's a big one I see a lot of.
So I initially tackle it the first time they meet me, and I introduce myself in my new member talk. I will tell them that actually sometimes I will care about their weight loss more than them, and that when they get to the point, and they will, because they're human, and they want to go out that door and never come back again, that's cool, but just let me know, and I'll try and understand why. If it's something that they're doing and the plan's not working, or if it's something that I'm doing, I've got broad shoulders, I'll help them find another group because their weight loss is more important than me. Or they might just be bored, and because we get into the habit of eating the same food day in, day out, you know, and that's boring. And they forget that they don't have to, and they blame the plan when actually they have lots of choice on plan, but we get into a rut and we choose the same food all the time. Then on their journey, when they get stuck, we go back to basics. Slimming World is, I'll say 52 years running now.
Mhm.
And the plan hasn't changed at all for the last couple of years.
Mhm.
So the plan never changes, but what we do changes. So it's back to basics and actually remembering what steps we took when we first joined, and reigniting that passion for food optimizing, which sometimes people need help with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I see is, and I see this a lot, and I've seen this a lot in a lot of the Slimming World groups and stuff, is where people are, they're doing this, they're checking their sins, they're eating fairly healthy, but what they actually don't understand is that they're not in a calorie deficit. So they can't lose weight. And often talking to members of Slimming World who've been doing it for a long time, they really struggle with that concept because they're not really educated on those sort of things.
Yeah, but they've forgotten the plan, and it happens. So I would say, I always describe it as like an upside down triangle.
Mhm.
The widest bit at the top is what we call our free foods, okay, which basically are high density fill-in foods, low calories. That's the science, yeah. Underneath that is we have what we call our healthy extras, and these are the foods that are usually high in fiber, calcium, full of vitamins, okay, and we do measure those. And then the pointy bit at the bottom is your syns, okay, and actually that's the way you should be eating, okay. But you know, a consultant 12 years, sometimes I myself will get obsessed with my syns because they're usually the things that are higher in calories, higher in sugar and fat contents, and that there's no religious connotation to them. They're short for synergy, so they're part of the plan. So you are encouraged to have them, because a life without, I don't know, crisps or wine, it's just miserable. Who wants that life, you know? So it's learning to eat your free food so you're full up, that you're less likely to go and eat all your syns by 10 a.m. Yeah, which you can quite easily do by just going and getting a pastry and you know, with your coffee in the morning.
Okay, so if I interpret that correctly, then the food synergy program is literally an example of calories in, calories out, basically, but just rebranded. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about you eating lower calorie foods, but that are filling and nutritious. Also, it's your everyday food that from the supermarket that you've got in your cupboard at home, your freezer, that you know you cook and you prepare yourself. Yeah. Doesn't mean you can go out and enjoy a Nando's. I really encourage Nando's. You can eat well on plan in Nando's.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! My clients love a Nando's. Don't worry. I don't think that's an issue. No one will argue with that. I think one of the challenges often is, and this is something I say to my clients, what I found in the past is people are eating lots of healthy food, but then they blame the chocolate bar being like 2% of their calorific intake for the week. And then what they'll say is, yeah, but I'm eating really good on my free food. And I'll be like, okay, show me some portions. And I'll be like, okay,
yeah,
just weigh that. And then they'll say, they'll weigh it. And I'll be like, well, you do know you've got 400 calories of pasta alone on that plate, but it's free food. I'm like, I get that. I know what it says in the book, but you can't have unlimited amounts of it.
But one of the things that and it gets forgotten about, and even in how I've just said it there, I've realized I've said free food because I'm so comfortable that you understand what I'm talking about, but you don't. So we encourage, so food that is really low calories, we don't do calories, would be like your veg and your fruits and things like that. So we really encourage, where possible, at least a third of your meal is made up of those. So if you are eating a meal that's full of low calorie, high fiber, filling food, you are going to not necessarily go and want biscuits afterwards because you're full and you're satisfied. So therefore,
to me, it makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I obviously understand with a nutritionist head on, I can see it totally. I think the challenge is the wording literally, and I read it yesterday morning just to be sure, pretty much says, if it's on this list, you can have as much as you want. And you're like,
yeah.
so pasta,
Mm-hmm.
as a classic, is something that can actually be quite calorific and
Yeah.
so why is that on the list? Like, I don't get it.
But with also in the booklet, you will see you must have a third of your, we call them speed food. So they're basically really, really low calorie foods, which is your a lot of your veg and some fruit.
Okay. So then why is avocado higher syns than cider? As an example, I see some crazy things in the syns and I'm like, that don't make sense.
Not actually, because well, it depends on your size of your cider. If I'm having a cider, I like to have a good size. But yeah, because it's the higher fat content of, but the syns in an avocado are what I would describe, and I do describe to members as good fat. The syns in a packet of Walker's crisps aren't that much different to an avocado. Okay, but if I eat a whole avocado to myself, I'm going to be full. I could munch my way through several packets of Walker's crisps and not be satisfied. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's how I get people to look at it. And I haven't got a book in front of me at the moment, but there's a real image in one of our books that I absolutely love. It's pie and chips. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's not everyone's bag. Not everyone likes pie and chips, but we'll have the equivalent. We'll have pizza, we'll have chicken, or, whatever it is for us. So the calories in that meal, I could eat now 1:30 pie and chips. By 7:00 this evening, I could probably be ready for another pie and chips. Yeah, because I'd be hungry. But on the opposite page in our book, you'll see 3 meals. One's a cooked breakfast at home. One, I think, is some sort of chicken curry with loads and loads of veg. And one is just this really colourful salad, I think, with salmon in it. But for the same amount of calories in that pie and chips, you can have those 3 meals. And most people that come to me to start their weight loss journey will say, I don't eat that much now. And they probably don't have 3 meals like that. But they will have the bars of chocolate and the things that just, I say, fly around the room and fly into your mouth that you don't even remember eating. Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the go.
Yeah. Food amnesia, as I call it.
Yeah, that's it. And they're not getting the results they want, and they're still hungry. They're still not satisfied. Because, so one of the biggest changes you will often hear is people saying, wow, I'm eating more food than I've ever eaten and I'm losing weight, which is what I experienced when I joined the Slimming Well group. I was like, how is this possible?
Yeah, it's a classic thing of you're eating more higher volume, nutrient dense food, which is going to pound for pound lower calories.
Yeah.
I think it's just where, I think the challenge is that when I explain to people that literally, if you look at the syn plate, the syns, they're higher calorie foods, and they're like, oh, I've got it now. Like, yes.
Yeah.
But
and that's it.
So why doesn't Slimming Well just teach people about calories? Like, why not just say, hey, ladies, these are higher calories, probably not as nutrient dense. These are nutrient dense. You can eat loads of that stuff, lower in calories.
Being a woman who battles with my weight, even now, I want freedom. Yeah, I want freedom. I don't want to spend my life counting calories. Yeah.
You don't need to count calories. You just need to understand the calorific value. You don't need to count them.
Okay.
I don't have it.
Yeah, it's a similar message though. You know, we explain, and the books explain, you're eating lower calorie, higher density food that's going to keep you fuller. You know, if I go onto the website now as a, I think as a non-member, it will start to explain that to me.
Yeah,
Um,
it just gets lost in the
it
translation
gets
somewhere.
lost, absolutely. And, you know, I'm members of groups online, Slim and Well this, Slim and Well for this supermarket, Slim and Well for that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, and I just because I like to keep an eye on what's going on, and the amount of times that I see information that is incorrect, but you know, I'm there just as a member of the public. I'm not going to start correcting people because it's not an official Slim and Well group. It's, you know, a member that set up a group to support other peers. And so it's not represented by Slimming World, but I see so many people getting caught up on their sins, and I thinking you're missing the point about the losing weight in a healthy way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think from my point of view, and when I've been in those groups, and I'm just tearing my hair out, and these poor ladies are just like they're lost. They don't know what to do because their consultant hasn't, apart from the plan,
Mm-hmm.
the consultant's got no other avenue to look at, because obviously it's a group and that's understandable. It's not one-on-one, so you can't look in depth. So I'll go in there and I'll tell people the truth, and it'll be like, oh my God, I don't know, you've said hateful things to us. I'm like, no, I'm just telling you the basics. And then I've had people message me in the groups and go, oh, I did that for a couple of weeks and I'm losing
And
weight.
it worked.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not trying to diss the Slimming World plan. I think what happened, where, like you said, you see so much misinformation. For my mind, then maybe consultants need to maybe come out and say, wait, that isn't right, because that's actually impacting your brand.
We will report it to head office. I could spend my life pointing out things. So where it's detrimental, we just flag it. We don't report it. We flag it and say, "Have you seen this?" And usually head office are already on it. So for me, you know, it is about helping people lose weight. And I always say, you know, it's not about, oh, they're a competitor. For me, the more options there are for people to lose weight, there's enough room for everybody, you know. And actually the pandemic people have been affected with weight gain. People that have never had a problem with their weight before have now been impacted. And, you know, that whole holistic approach of training, weight loss groups, etc., you know, we need to be there for them to catch them and help them, because it can be a lonely place when you're not feeling good about your size, your shape, or physically how you're feeling for your health. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it's been interesting seeing the kind of two lockdowns, and you know, that's why I just give out loads of free info, right, to help people. If it helps someone and they can get awesome results and some free content.
Absolutely.
I don't think that, well, from my point of view, I don't see Slimming Well as a competitor. I think what I do is potentially slightly different. I think
Absolutely different.
I'm just looking
Yeah.
at what I see ex-Slimming Well members come to me with, and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. So let me go to someone who is in the trenches with it, right? So
yeah, and you know, and it might not make sense to them at that time. They might have been misinformed, or I think I spoke to you earlier and I said, you know, I will be talking to my members and 5 of them will hear exactly the same words, but 5 different versions. Yeah. And we often only hear what we need to hear at that time.
oh yeah,
And something that doesn't resonate with us, you know, because it's not meant for us at that time. And then we'll hear the same thing later on and was like, where have I been? How did I not know this?
I see it all the time. Definitely.
Yeah.
I did have one other question and it's now just gone out of my mind. Oh my God. Right. Okay. So there's an interesting stat.
Okay.
There's an interesting incident. It's quite controversial.
Oh.
So an ex-financial director of Slimming World, Richard something, I can't remember his name, but he came out and said, look, the business is a recurring model. we expect a lot of people to fail because they keep coming back. Now, I can find an article for you. There was a study done, and something like 84% of members of slimming groups, it didn't specifically say Weight Watchers, Slimming World, whatever, but obviously those would be the big markets. So 84% of those people regain the weight after 5 years.
Right, okay.
Or weighed heavier.
Yeah.
There's quite a large proportion that really 16% of people only find long-term success. What are your thoughts?
Okay, that breaks my heart when I hear that. About the article, I don't know, and I'd love if you could share that with
I'll send it over to you,
but in my own, I say my own, but I know many consultants, we will have our own personal goals about how we run our business. And, you know, weight loss is a goal because we want our members to lose weight. That's what they come there for us. But another goal that we strive for is our retention. Okay, because if we keep our retention, we're keeping members, and we're going to break that cycle of members being successful, getting to a certain weight loss, walking out the door, not coming back, and then coming back maybe a year later, or, you know, every January, having gained more weight. And it's a ongoing goal personally for me. It's something that I work on, you know, on retention, so of our members. You know, when a member gets to target, it's not like, oh, you get to target, out the door. I've got a member, she's been at Target at least 4 years now, and is welcome in my group every week, because actually she's a success, and she can talk about her struggles and help others. And I, you know, so they come to group. One of the benefits of being a Target member is that you don't pay.
You're free after.
You're free for life if you maintain, and that's a success. So, you know, for me, that's really important that we have those members that get to Target, and, you know, stay there. And we have tools as well available to help them, because sometimes being at Target can be hard. It can be, in fact, more of a struggle than actually losing weight in the first place.
Well, sometimes the target that you think is the target weight isn't the target weight whatsoever.
Absolutely. And that's one thing. The amount of members that come to me and say, right, how much do I need to lose? Oh, well, let's see, you've got blue eyes, brown hair, you're that tall. Oh, you know, I've absolutely no idea. It's for them to set their target. There is a, you know, BMI that they can look at, but sometimes it's a small target, because actually people have no idea. They don't have that self-belief about the weight they believe they can get to. So we'll start wherever they are on their journey, but the important thing is to set a target, so we have somewhere to aim for. But we can change that at any time. And likewise, if you set a target that is one number and you get to where you want to be and you think, oh, well, that was too much, that's absolutely fine. You change it. And
I had 2 more questions, I think.
Okay.
And then you're free to I think this has been very useful for us. I think being on the outside of slimming world and only hearing and seeing certain things, and I'm not going to lie, I've seen consultants and they're saying stuff to their members, and I'm like, that is absolute tosh. But like you say, I've seen PTs doing stuff with their clients, and I'm just like, really? So I get it. That's not a issue.
And you know, I might do it as well, because there might be some things that I miss in my training, or I haven't heard, or misunderstood, you know. And I would hope that one of my colleagues, another consultant, if they ever hear me doing that they just, you know, say, oh, Margaret, you know, that changed, or that's no longer, you know, because they have the knowledge to know if that's right or wrong. And if I'm ever doing something in group that's impacting my members, I always encourage them to come and tell me.
Of course. So the one big controversy that happened with Slimming World about a year ago, maybe a bit more, I can't remember, was the whole Muller Light gate. Like, oh my God. and I couldn't understand it. So you need to explain it to me. So Muller Light didn't change the recipe.
Yeah.
They didn't change anything. And then all of a sudden, from becoming a free food, they were now a sin food. How does that work?
Unfortunately, some people take the free food element to extremes. So they are unlikely to take, let's say, pasta to extremes, because physically, you know, there's a certain amount of pasta that you can eat. But some people, unfortunately, were taking free food Muller Lights to, overeating on the Muller Lights.
Mm-hmm.
So by allowing a sin allowance on them, it went to the other way, where you've got so many people that stopped eating Muller Lights, and it's like, it's half a sin, but because it had a sin value on it, now they stopped buying them, they stopped eating them. And actually, that's about education. And we increased our healthy extra A choices, which is our calcium, so that people make sure they're getting enough calcium around that time as well, because Muller Lights dropped off. I think that's changed now. People are reintroducing Muller Lights into their life. When I became a consultant 12 years ago, you might hear on some of the groups as well, and we talk about it in groups as tweaks. So it's where you take free food and turn it into something that wasn't the purpose of that food. And again, people can, unless you're in Slimming World,
well, food's only for eating, right?
Okay. What sane person makes a birthday cake out of couscous? And that's, we will call it tweaks, and we will tell you, that we advise you that you should sin these tweaks, because, eating that amount of couscous, eating cakes out of couscous and numerous cakes, you are going to overeat. Yeah. I'll send you the recipe, Greg, for...
I want to see this.
And this is the sort of things that I often see on groups. And, it's free. No, it's a tweak. Okay. Yes, a couscous cake. And when I became a member, when I was a member, like when I first joined, people were making like crisps or tortilla chips out of sheets of pasta.
That could be it. But isn't that a thing though, that they're trying to use what they've told as free food to make it more palatable to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
not a bad thing, is it?
We encourage you to eat food for the purpose it was made for. So pasta was not made to be Doritos.
But that's almost like saying, I don't know, because I have a thing, like, why would you call a vegan food chicken when it's not chicken? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, it's soy. Like, just call it soy.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Which I guess is just marketing. But I guess people are just trying to find ways to include things they love.
People become inventive, and I was very upset that I couldn't cut up my lasagna sheets, and mind you, no, I wasn't, because I used to burn them, because I wasn't very good at getting them in the oven for the right amount of time to turn them into crisps. But it's about tweaking food. Roasted chickpeas is another tweak, which are absolutely delicious. I'm all for a bit of paprika and things on that. But again, if I eat several tins of chickpeas in a day, I'm going to overeat. Okay. If I'm having some chickpeas with salad, like cucumber, tomatoes, like, it's going to be delicious roasted chickpeas, but people aren't eating them in the way that they were intended to be used. So it's adult to adult. We educate that this is a tweak, and you should sin them. If people don't sin them and they're not getting the results they want with their weight loss, then they may need to go back to basics, because there might be something they're doing unintentionally, not realising the impact it's having on their weight loss journey.
Okay, awesome. My last two, and I'm done. This has been awesome. So please explain the banana sin free. I don't get that one.
It's the same. Bananas are free. You can have them unlimited, yeah? And I love several bananas in a day, okay? But I have to peel my banana, take a bite and chew it, yeah? So my society, I can never say it, satiety levels.
I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
But if I mash that banana, I'm not going through that process of chewing, etc. So therefore, I'm more likely again to overeat on my bananas.
I'd love to see a study on that one. I want to see some science. I want someone from Slimming World needs to come to me and say, we did a study and this is what happened.
There will be, I'll be able to find some science behind that bit. But yeah, it's, you know, I'm more likely to eat more. You know, if I'm mashing one banana in a day, adult to adult, you know, and I'm getting the weight loss results I want, then great. But actually, there might be things that are impacting that I'm not realising. So get curious about what you're eating in the day. Yeah.
So let me understand. So my mashed banana, because remember we talked earlier about sins are virtually just calorie counting anyway.
Yeah.
So my mashed banana versus my eaten whole banana.
It's the same calories.
It's the same calories.
Yeah.
One sin because there is potentially a bigger potential for me to eat more.
Yeah.
Even though it's my one banana.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how much I have on. Okay. But do you see why people get confused now?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's all. Okay. And the last one I read that as a consultant, and I don't know if this is still true or if this is true, that people are commissioned on the HiFi bars.
Oh my goodness.
Again, this is something I read recently.
No. There are weight loss companies that absolutely are. Okay. No.
Okay.
They're provided for the members. We take them in and out of our cars. We load them up. We load our tables with them because they are there as they help members like perhaps having them as a healthy, because they're high in fiber, so they might have them as a healthy extra B, or they might have them as an alternative to a sweet bar, because they're still getting that sweet sensation. Yeah. Okay.
But the calories.
We're not commissioned on it.
Oh, okay, cool. No, because the calories are quite similar to a lot of bars, so I'm like,
yeah,
why, just have a chocolate bar?
No. No. Yeah. Yeah, and we're not commissioned on them at all. Like I said, they're there for the members. They're available in a supermarket. You can get them in Iceland.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't go to Iceland often. Okay, awesome. Now this has been really insightful. Thank you for.
No, I've really enjoyed it. And if there is any questions, pop them through to me. I'm going to go back and look at the banana thing.
Yeah, I'd love to understand that one, because if I've got one banana and I decide to mash it and I eat it, and maybe I mix it with some eggs, and which actually will reduce blood sugar and
We're making pancakes, are we?
Yeah, make some pancakes.
Yeah, add some berries for speed.
Why not get some fibre? And then it's like, but that's sinned versus
I'm gonna go back and look at that.
If you do that right, you will break the internet.
Okay. I will look at that. And if your clients or you have any more questions, just send them over to me, Greg. And if I can help, at the end of the day, it's about helping people lose weight. That's what we're there for. And I can't think of a single consultant. We're human, we might make errors, but I can't think of a single consultant that is in that role because they don't want to help people on their weight loss journey.
Awesome. So just to understand,
and you're welcome at Acton any time when you get back into the venue.
When I can flit around, I'll happily pop over.
You said April, didn't you?
Yeah, April. I'll tell you what. As anyone listening to this podcast, I will head over to that group as soon as I can walk, because there's a climbing wall near there as well.
Yeah.
I'll combine the two. I'm taking Margaret. So if you climbing with me, then I'll come to a group. There you go. There's the deal.
Okay then. That's fine.
So just
all right.
where people can find you, it's Margaret Cawley on Facebook. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll pop me a question through and I'll come back to you about the bananas. I'm on it now.
Please do. The whole world is waiting for the banana gate answer. Right. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.